Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today I did a bit of an experiment, which I would like you to join me on. So, I decided that I was going to start painting this here Space Wolves Dreadnought. Now, I'm painting this for Snipe of Snipe and Wib fame. I think I've told her I'm doing this, I can't remember. But I had a slight issue in that I wanted to paint it, but I wasn't sure whether I really had the right colours for it. So, what better way to work out whether you have in fact got any better at sort of colour theory and painting in general than to try and paint something that you're not even sure you have the right paints for, which is pretty much exactly what I did here. So I sat down with 6 colours: Huldra Blue, Hex Lichen, Adriatic Blue, Cold Grey, White and Ice Yellow, which I'll of course list in the description, and just went for it. So I started out with the Huldra Blue from Scale Colour and Hex Lichen from Vallejo, and using my Artist Opus Series D brushes, mixed them together to make a nice, kind of rich, dark, bluey purple that I thought would make a pretty good base for the Adriatic Blue. I wanted it to be nice and rich, but not too turquoisey. So I started out with this in the vague hope that that would provide a good foundation for the rest of the scheme. As you can see, I'm just going over every panel, just covering all the bits that I want to have colour on, not being particularly careful or precious about it, just pretty much going for it. Once I got all of the armour panels covered, I didn't clean the brush too heavily. I still wanted a bit of that purple in there with the Adriatic Blue just to darken it down a little, and I went over the same sections with Adriatic Blue. I have to admit, at this point, I was already starting to wonder if I hadn't made a bit of a mistake with picking this particular blue. It is very rich, and it does not, right now at least, look like it's going to make a good Space Wolves colour. I was starting to have second thoughts, but I think it worked out okay in the end. Once I'd covered the armour panels with the Adriatic Blue, I got the Cold Grey from Vallejo and White from Scale 75, and I mixed them together to make something that I felt would work quite well, something that would dampen the blue down a little bit, make it a bit more sky blue, a bit less rich, but still fairly light. And as I started applying the grey to the model, I realised very quickly that that's not what I'd done. It was not behaving the way that I thought it would. Instead of lifting it but kind of making it a bit more sky blue, instead it was just covering it over, which was not working very well. So I mixed a bit of the Adriatic Blue into that white and grey combination just to try and bring it back a little bit. Now I think it was mixing that Adriatic Blue into that grey mix that actually made this work in the end. I think if I'd have left it how it was, it would have been probably closer to 13th Company grey rather than actual Space Wolves colours. Now before I started applying the ice yellow to the model, I actually added a little more of the Adriatic blue, just onto the very corners of some sections, just onto the edges. I wanted there to be a bit more depth there, mostly because ice yellow can be a little bit fiddly and sometimes it can be a little stronger than you might want it to be. So I kind of preempted that by making some areas a little darker and a little richer than I actually would have wanted if I was leaving it how it was. As soon as I started applying that ice yellow, I immediately felt vindicated that that was the right thing to do, because as you can see, the addition of the ice yellow pretty much is what made all of it work. I don't think it was a bad colour until I started applying this paint, but it wasn't the result I was looking for until this particular point. This is the bit where it actually started to work for me. I felt like the ice yellow is what finished it off. It lifted it, made it a bit more grey, made it a bit lighter. So yeah, after giving the model a good going over with that ice yellow, you can see the end result there. There's still some work to be done, of course. There's a lot of Dreadnought to paint there that hasn't even had any sort of coat of anything, but as a basis for starting, I think it's worked out pretty well. It was pretty quick to do, about 15 minutes, and I'm pretty happy with the end result. There are things I would probably do differently a second time, but as a starting experiment and as a way to see whether I can build up to a certain scheme, even with less than perfect paints for that scheme, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. So I hope you enjoyed that little experiment. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, whether you think it's a close enough approximation to Space Wolves colours or whether it needs a bit more work. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to, and if you would like to support the channel, you can do so using the affiliate link in the description down below for Element Games. It's a nice way to do it if you would like to. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.